Today we're hanging out in one of my favorite rooms of the house. I've got a few extra hours, so I'm gonna build Ashley some shelves for our kitchen. First step, we need to get some supplies. Let's go. So a few weeks ago, my buddy Jonathan asked me, why do you post pictures on Instagram? Like, really, why? And we kept getting deeper and deeper, and it took a while, but for me, the main reason, I know there's tons of reasons why people do, but for me, it's an expression of who I am. And so if you look through all of the photos that I've posted on Instagram, you watch my stories, it's expressing who I am and what I'm doing. It's my life. It's what I care about. It's where I go. It's the people that I love. And so when I post a picture on Instagram, I want to make sure that that is dialed in. That's one of the things that helps me express who I am. I get to create a quality product and share it with the world. So what I'd like to do today is pass on some tips on some of the things that I do to help create a really good photo for Instagram. I want to pass on some of the tips of editing and filters and all of that kind of fun stuff so that you have some tools that you can do a better job expressing who you are on your social media platform. So usually I go to Lowe's for all of my home improvement projects, but today we're at Menards. And the reason why is because they have a really good deal on black pipe, which is what we need. And I mean, honestly, where else are you gonna find a camouflage toilet seat?
Everything that I can't lose, I never needed you to give me things. All I ever need is here with you.
Alright, so one of the first things you can do to improve your photos on Instagram is to think through what's going to be on there. Think through the background, think through the subject, think through where it's at, all of those different things. A simple way to just step up your photo game is to get rid of the junk in the background. Just clean up the area before you take the photo, or move the camera so that you can't see that stuff in the background when you're taking a picture of your friends. It just makes it look so much cleaner. Wow, I get home and it's all dried up, the rain has stopped, and the sun has come out. Alright, another thing I like to do is use the rule of thirds. If you're not familiar with what the rule of thirds are, you can check it out in the description. I put a link to a blog post that I once wrote about the rule of thirds. Basically what it does is it divides your screen up into thirds so that you can see how to frame your shot. You use those lines and those intersections to determine where your focus points are going to be. So someone's head will be in the top right corner of that third, or the horizon will be on the bottom third of the photograph, making it much more appealing and attractive. So check that out. You can set this up in your camera settings. Even on your iPhone, you can put the grid on and you can see the rule of thirds right when you're shooting.
Baby, there is a place where we can go, where it's always shining like the snow. Listen to your heartbeat, don't you know that I just wanna be with you.
Alright, so you've got your background all cleaned up. You know exactly what you want to take a picture of. You've turned on your grids. Now it's time to actually take the photo. So you pull out your iPhone, you frame up your shot, you use your lower thirds. Now what you need to do is you need to expose the picture for what you want. So we've got our phone here opened up. Say we're going to take a picture of this saw. You frame it up, see the grids on there. Now all you have to do is you click on it where you want it to expose and focus. So it's focusing on that image, but then also once you've clicked on it, you can lower it to lower the exposure. And what that does is it helps the camera understand what you're trying to take a picture of. This is really helpful for sunsets, because when you first click on the sky, it's going to be really blown out. It might be in focus, but it's going to be too bright. So you click on it and you scroll down slightly. That will lower the exposure, making the sky really pop. This is an easy tip to just improve your photos instantly. Give it a shot. Alright, once I have my photo taken, there's two different things that I like to do. I like to edit it a little bit, and I like to add some effects. You don't want to do it too much, but you can add some things that will help complement your photo, not make it more distracting. So there's two different apps I use once I've taken my photo in the regular camera app. The first one is Lightroom CC. You don't have to use this one for editing, but I think it's the best one that is available right now. You can also use Snapseed, that one's free. You can also use VSCO. There's a lot of great presets and profiles that you can use in that one as well. But for me, I use Lightroom primarily for all of my editing. I'll adjust lighting, I'll adjust color, I'll adjust all sorts of different things. You can download presets, even from popular people like Peter McKinnon, and you can add them right into your Lightroom app on your phone so that you can have his kind of preset style baked into your photos. This is really helpful, and you can do all sorts of fun stuff. Another thing that I do is I will use these photo editing apps to crop in my photo. So if I'm doing an Instagram story, it will be 9:16 because that's the most optimal size for Instagram stories. If you're posting on the wall, the most optimum size is 4:5, and this lets you get the most screen real estate on your photo. So you can move your photo around, you can zoom in a little bit, remember those rule of thirds that I talked about, and just make your photo exactly how you want it. Alright, the second app that I really like is Lens Distortions, and Lens Distortions adds all sorts of distortions that you typically get from lenses. So that's lens flares, that's shimmers, that's all sorts of those types of things. So once you pick out your photo, after it's edited, it's already on the 4:5 size, then you can start looking through some of the effects that they have and you can add them in. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't, but it just adds the next kind of flair to your photos to make them look that much better. You can add rain, you can add snow, you can add fog, and you can choose all sorts of different things to add to the photo to make it look more appealing. So those are the two apps that I use a ton when I'm editing my photos for Instagram. Alright, so this is a photo that I took the other day of my coffee cup. I cleaned up the background, I made sure that it was lit properly, maybe even slightly underexposed so that I could bring that lighting up. I did some editing and I also put it in the 9:16 form. And I got to this point. It looks so much better already. But then I took it into Lens Distortions and I added in my just a little bit of a lens flare to make it look even better. So you can see the difference between this photo and the finished product looks incredibly different, so much better. Alright, so those are the things that I do when I'm editing my photos. If you want some more detailed instructions on some of the edits that I do, I would love to talk with you about that. Just leave a comment in the comment section below and we can talk about it. Now let's get these shells finished up.
Baby, there is a place where we can go, where it's always shining like the snow. Listen to your heartbeat, don't you know? Hey, that I just wanna be with you.
Alright, time for another example. So I've got my background cleaned up, got my grids turned on. I put my subject in the lower third and click on it so that I can get the right exposure. I can go up to see what that looks like, go down to see what that looks like. That looks about right. So I fire away. I got my picture. Now I'm going to open up Lightroom and I'm going to add it directly into the Lightroom so that I can add some filters and some different edits. Add my photo. Now that once it's in Lightroom, I can add a couple presets that I like, ones that I use quite a bit, and just see what they look like. See which one I want. That one looks kind of moody. That one looks pretty good. Let's go with heat stroke. So once I have my preset, then I'll go in and fine tune it. So I think the shadows need to be a little brighter. I think the highlights need to be a little lower. Maybe overall exposure slightly down. Looks pretty good. Then I have to put my crop on. 9:16, move it around. Looks good. Maybe add a little bit of a vignette. Give it some more mood. And our photo's done. Now I save this to the camera roll. And it's ready to go into Lens Distortions. Grab my photo. Alright, so now what I can do is kind of play around with some different effects. Maybe some shimmer. Who knows? Some blur. Don't really like that. You just kind of play around with it until you figure out what you want. Put light. Looks like the light's coming from that direction. Alright, cool. Now we've got our photo. Save it to the camera roll. And boom, up to Instagram we go.
Oh, I can't get enough, get enough. Don't ever let me be away from you. I'm gonna hold you tight, 'cause you're the only thing that I can.
Alright, it's getting pretty dark. I'm gonna put another coat of stain on these boards, get the pipes mounted on the walls, and we should have some shelves by the end of the night. I hope that you learned something today. Just remember, your creativity is limited only by you. The more that you practice, the more pictures you take, the more editing you do, the better it will get. But use the tools that you have available to you. It's super easy to download those free apps and just play around with them. Find some presets that you really like and then adjust them for whatever picture you have. Have fun and let's do this.
There is a place where we can go, where it's always shining like the snow. Listen to your heartbeat, don't you